And then I think the other one that was a favorite was Jeremy's invention called PeePee Pants.
PeePee Pants. Correct.
Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. It is Becky and
Jeremy. Happy to be back.
Back by popular demand. We still have one microphone, so we're getting really close for all of you.
We'll get this figured out at some point.
At some point, we're going to upgrade our life and get 2 microphones. But meanwhile, we thought today here on the podcast, we would share a little bit of our own business journey. I know we do a lot on the podcast where we bring in incredible guests that share their story, and I do a lot of training and give you lots of ideas, especially this time of year as we're approaching the holidays. But we thought we would just do a little pause in our normal routine and talk a little bit about our business story and how it all began. I recently popped into my business coaches community and shared a little bit of our journey and how far we've come. And there's a lot of new business owners in the crowd, and I know that they left feeling inspired. And it was actually a really fun process for me to kind of walk back through what our business has grown up into over the years, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, it's been a journey, that's for sure.
Well, we're going to take it way back. So actually, I think both of us started out very entrepreneurial. My mom would say when I was selling Girl Scout cookies as a kid, I'd go put up flyers on the mailboxes and tell everyone, Girl Scout cookie sales start on this date. Don't buy from anyone else. I'm your favorite Girl Scout. So I guess my entrepreneurial sales career began very early on. But as an official business, Jeremy actually took the lead on that.
Yeah, so your parents were entrepreneurial too, right?
Yeah.
Like your dad had his own construction business and stuff. So you sort of grew up helping them with that and just, being around business, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really have that when I was growing up, but I definitely started my first business, I think, before you.
You did. That's what I was saying. Tell them about your first business.
Yeah, my first business was called Launder Electronics. And it originally started because I basically wanted to get cheaper stereo equipment for my car. So,
which, by the way, was like a really cool car.
It was a 1988 Mercury Tracer. Had about, over 200,000 miles on it. But it was given to me by my parents and it worked. So I was very happy. But yeah, I got into car stereos for whatever reason, wanted like cheaper speakers and amplifiers and all the things. So back in those days, this was like 1999, 2000.
Back in the
90s. I was searching and stumbled upon it was basically a how to start your business CD-ROM and pamphlet on eBay. And it was advertised as like how to get cheaper stuff. And then the process to get it was basically to start a business.
Sounds like direct sales.
Start a business, get a seller's permit. Then you can like get in with distributors and you can get distributor pricing and all that stuff. So I went through the whole process and I got my first catalogs and was like, wow, this is much cheaper than you can buy it for at the store. And that's when I was like, man, maybe I should try to sell some of this stuff.
And did you sell some stuff?
I did sell some stuff, but
wait, hold on. How old were you?
I was like 18.
Okay.
Yeah, I was 18. This was, I probably started, I can't remember if I was still at the tail end of high school when I started it. I think it was really like the summer after I graduated was when I started it.
So ambitious.
Yeah, I did sell some stuff, even like created my own website and all kinds of stuff, but mostly was just selling to like local people. People knew that I could get deals on it, so would sell them car stereos and all that kind of stuff. But don't think I actually made a profit, but I did sell some stuff and I didn't lose a bunch of money, so that was good.
And you had a really cool car stereo.
I did. That ended up getting stolen one day.
Oh Oh my gosh. Okay. So that was kind of first step into entrepreneurship.
Yes.
I did not know him then.
You missed out.
Really missed out. But fast forward a little bit later on, yeah, my parents are entrepreneurs. And so I kind of grew up around like, you have an idea, run with it, make some money. And for a little while, I was a notary public. That was a fun adventure.
That.
Like my mom was doing loan documents and real estate for a little while, so I would help her out. And that was a weird thing. Like mobile notary, they would invite you into very strange people's houses. I notarized things in hospitals. It was pretty adventurous, actually. And then our next business, this is like when we were actually together, was when I was still working full time, and I created Embellish Creative Designs, where we were making scrapbooks for people, but it was kind of a similar thing.
It wasn't really like a we thing.
No, it wasn't a we.
It was a you thing.
It was a me thing. But I also just wanted kind of a good discount on product because I really loved my craft supplies and learned that I could go to these craft shows and buy all these things at an incredible discount at wholesale pricing. So that lasted for a little while, and I did some marketing consulting. So these are like very like baby early stages of entrepreneurship, even before the direct sales world. And we had a number of business ideas that we did not pursue as well, which I think this is before we had kids, and we were kind of like, we're going to build a business. Like, what's it going to be? And I actually think there's a document somewhere where we wrote down all of our terrible ideas, but two in particular really stand out to me.
Yeah. You want me to share these? Well, one of them was to create a wiffle ball league and, charge fees for teams and all that kind of stuff, because I actually was very into wiffle ball even when I was younger, but I would travel around and play in these leagues. I don't know that you could call it professionally, but competitively.
It's as close as you could become to professional.
So yeah, we would go to Texas every year for this national tournament and play against, 64 teams that qualified for this tournament. And we were like, man, it's like not as big out here on the West Coast as it is on the East Coast. Maybe we should do something here. And luckily, we did not go forward with that.
We did not. But we did an analysis on it. I remember there was a spreadsheet, and we were like, how much money could we make by... And we're talking wiffle ball, like the plastic white wiffle ball on a made-up field in a park. That did not work out. And then I think the other one that was a favorite was Jeremy's invention called PeePee Pants.
PeePee Pants, correct.
Tell him about PeePee Pants and the vision for that business.
Well, I think this was like, you'd be going to like a Charger game back in the day, like a football game or a baseball game or something. And
concert.
Like somewhere where you didn't want to have to leave where you were to go to the bathroom. So you would have these pants that would have like a bladder that would collect it all, and you could just drain it out later.
And that's the podcast today, friends. That was another business idea that we did not pursue. But fast forward a little bit later, right? So
I'm going to do that one day.
We're not going to do that one day. We're not. We stepped into the network marketing space with a company at the time called Prepaid Legal, and now it's called Legal Shield. And that was something we actually did together and kind of discovered the business model behind the direct sales industry. So that we did that for a little bit, and that was kind of interesting, learned a lot there. It wasn't the right fit for what we wanted to do over the long haul, I would say, but the business model is super cool, and we still use it. We still use it all the time, actually.
We use it personally and for business. They have both personal and business plans, and love the product.
Yeah, love that. And then all the while, Jeremy had his electrical engineering career working for a defense contractor, and I was working in marketing strategy, product management for a leadership training company. But I feel like, everything kind of changes after kids, I would say, right? So like all of these ideas were the before kids ideas.
Yeah.
And then we had kids, and that was back in 2012, the end of 2012, Mackenzie was born. And I was like, I don't know if I can go back to work a 9 to 5. I really want to be a stay-at-home mom, which I've shared on the podcast before. Did not work out so well for me. I very quickly was like crying on the floor, being like, I don't think I want to be a stay-at-home mom. This is so hard. And so I quickly jumped into some direct sales channels. And this is while I was still working full-time and had a little one at home, but got started with Usborne Books, which is now Paper Pie, and built a very large organization there very quickly and had a lot of success there. I just got a flashback photo of a vendor event that I did where I sold $10,000 of books that averaged probably $10 each in a day.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like crazy the amount of volume we were doing, and loved that business. Got to go on incentive trips, got to win awards, do all the things. And it really gave me the confidence to start to kind of put the plan in motion to step away from the full-time job. Then Cody came along, so baby number 2, which, they gift you with a really sweet one that sleeps well. And then you decide to have another one. And Cody was a whole different story. He did not sleep. And he required you to hold him like all the time, it felt like. So that was in 2014, the end of 2014. And it was shortly after that I stepped away from my corporate leadership training position that I was in, and really focused on building that direct sales business. And kind of in that same season is when we started myconsultanttraining.com, which was the original business behind Modern Direct Seller. And it was just a blog where I would share information with my team. And then that, kind of grew from there. I was sharing within the entire company and then people outside of our company. So it was probably around, fall 2015, I think, that I finally was like, okay, I'm going to move forward with my own business, and had a chance to go work with Matilda Jane Clothing. And I feel like in that season for me, these events that I was doing on the weekends was really an outlet. I was with the kids pretty much 24/7 during the week. And then on the weekends, I'd go out and do a lot of vendor events. I'd connect with clients. I was doing networking events in the evening. So it was a really fun season of learning and growth, but also, the kids were really kind of the priority, and everything was built around the kids when they were super little.
Well, and those, like Matilda Jane and Usborne, both kind of fit for that season too, because it was kids books and kids clothing, right? So you had the built-in, models and all that stuff.
Oh, yeah. We would dress them up, and I'd have them hold their books up, and we would do videos together. It was super fun. And you were still really involved with those businesses, too.
Lugged a lot of books around.
We loaded we got the car full of books many times. Yeah. And then clothing also, surprisingly, is not lighter. It was a pretty heavy product to be selling.
Had, like the racks and stuff, too.
The racks and the hangers, and I'd have the big IKEA bags full of clothing that we would lug around to all the different events and activities and pop-ups that we were doing. But let's fast forward a little bit further. So our business as it exists today, I would say, really kind of launched in about 2018. Because in 2018 was the year that I was like, okay, we're going to launch a course. We are going to write a book. We're going to be really intentional about growing this email list, because I saw the potential of what we could be doing in the online marketing space. And it was in that same era, 2018, 2019, that I officially stepped out of the sales field, really to focus on growing the training side of the business. Yeah. And 2020 was a huge year.
2020 was?
2020 was a super huge year. So I wrote some notes on what happened in 2020, because I think for many of us, 2020 was such a blur. It's the COVID year. It was crazy. It was wild. But before COVID happened, or we knew there was going to be a global pandemic, you had some changes at your job.
Yeah. So I'd worked at the same company for basically since I graduated college. So I was at the same place for 15 years. And then they merged with another company. They call it a merge, but it was, I don't know, it seemed basically more like a takeover. Like the other company, we were kind of getting absorbed by the other company. So we were, rolling into their systems and all that kind of stuff. So at that time, they were taking like the product line that I was responsible for was going to move to another division. And I still had opportunity there, was just going to work on another product line that was at our division. But my consultant training, what it was at the time, or was it Modern Direct Seller by then?
Rebranded.
Yeah. So Modern Direct Seller at that time was like close to where like the size where we had talked about, you know, once it gets to a certain size, like I'll leave and go full time in the business. It wasn't quite there.
Wasn't quite there.
But then with the changes at work, you know, it was like a good pivot point to just be like, all right, like, let's do it. So I stuck around for another, I think, 6 months.
I feel like that news that you got was at the first of the year. So it was like January, February 2020.
Yeah, it was before everything shut down.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Sure?
And everyone around us was like, what? Like you quit your job in the middle of a pandemic and you've been there for 15 years. You're going to go work with your wife? Are you crazy? Yeah. That was the season of us, maybe some people questioning our life choices.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, worked out.
It worked out. Well,
definitely worked out.
2020 in our business, not only did Jeremy come full-time in the business, I'd say you came full-time about halfway through the year.
Because, it was July.
Yeah, July you left your job, and then we traveled. We went on a pretty epic road trip.
Yeah, it was like over 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, I think it was 3 weeks total. And then when we came back home in August, it was kind of like, all right, it's go time. So it was happening. If you were in the direct sales world in August 2020, you know that people were jumping on board. Like direct sales was booming in fall 2020. That was the season of people were getting a little stir crazy.
Online,
people weren't going out. There was a lot of activity on social media.
Yeah.
People were frankly kind of bored. Like, okay, like might as well make some extra money right now. What else do we have going on?
Yeah, for sure.
So there was incredible growth in the industry, and we had kind of, worked on scaling up to this point. So this, luckily we were really positioned to respond to what was happening in the world around us in 2020. So at that point, we hired our first contractor, and we hit 10,000 email subscribers in 2020, which was like a huge milestone. Yeah. This podcast launched in fall of 2020. And then probably Jeremy's favorite memory of 2020 is when we decided to launch a subscription box.
Don't get me started on the subscription box.
So not only do we have our online membership program, but if you guys remember in 2020, especially everyone was at home and everyone wanted cool things to come in the mail. So we launched the Modern Direct Seller box.
Yeah.
Which was a little bit of an adventure, and I think as business owners, you look back and you're like, okay, I made some great decisions and I made some that maybe didn't totally work out the way that we thought it would. So I think the box really grew our revenue quite a bit in 2020 and 2021. But what happened to our profit?
Oh, yeah. It didn't make any money. Yeah. Didn't make any money.
Jeremy's been waiting for this day to say this on the podcast. The box made us zero money.
Zero money.
But it was really fun. And everyone loved it. But it was not a profitable business venture. It just really wasn't. It was hard to predict how many subscribers we would have every month.
Inventory.
We had, inventory to manage. Then we had
shipping.
Order snafus. Do you remember? We ordered, we had all kinds of things, but mailing chocolate that melted. Products that were sent to other countries that never arrived.
Yeah.
We had a product that we thought we ordered as singles and they'd come in multiples or vice versa. I think we ordered syrup thinking we were getting a 4-pack of syrup. I don't know why we sent syrup one time. It was a fun fall maple syrup kind of thing. We were appealing to all of our Canadians maybe, but that didn't work out. We somehow didn't end up with enough or we'd end up with too much. And all in all, it was a great idea in theory, and we learned a lot, but we also had to do some new things that Jeremy doesn't love, like having to do sales tax. And
just the shipping and logistics and all the stuff that comes around physical products it's a lot of work.
It's a lot. And every month we had to come up with new cool things to put in this box.
When you still maybe didn't sell all of the boxes from the previous month. So then you got old inventory that you got to move and probably discount. So yeah,
Hence,
it was tough.
No profit there. But I will say, just a little teaser. we still do one modern direct seller box a year.
We do.
And we do it in December. So it's coming up in just about a month. And I'm telling you, you're going to want one because we only do it once a year and we don't make any money, but it's really, really fun. No, if you're curious about the box, though, I'd love to chat about it. And I can tell you how to get your hands on a box next month if you DM me over on Instagram. I'll give you the skinny. I'll give you the inside scoop on the box. But let's fast forward a little bit further. So 2021, 2022, I would say for us was like the season of scaling. And all of a sudden, we were running a pretty big business. We had, at least 500 people inside our membership program. We were really refining our processes and we were growing our team.
Yeah.
And it was no longer like I could go sit in the garage and record a podcast. It would magically show up the next week. We had to create, a checklist of things that would happen every month and bring on editors and same with the membership community. Things were growing. We also expanded our course content. I think that was a season of re-recording all of our courses. Before we had this beautiful studio set up, we'd go to our local mall and rent a photo studio. And I would record the courses inside that studio. Yeah, I think I paid, $500 a day for the studio space. And
had to rent a camera.
Rent a camera. Yeah. And then make sure the mic was working. And then, like nothing in business is easy. This photo studio was right next door. Do you remember this?
The Panera?
Well, there was Panera, which was great because I could load up on my iced coffee.
Well, but you could hear their music coming through too sometimes.
No, it was the other side. Do you remember what was on the other side?
So like a dance studio or
something? It was like a children's dance studio. So they would be playing like little kid music, super loud. Kids would be crying and screaming and, doing all their dance lessons.
Yeah.
It was a little wild. But that was definitely the season of expanding and growing. I think in 2022, how many did we end up on our email list in 2022?
We're over 20,000?
I think so. Yeah. So our email list more than doubled during that season. And part of it was the industry is growing quite a bit.
Yeah. I think from 2020 and the growth of direct sales in general during that time definitely led to growth in our email list.
Yeah. I also spent a couple years in that same era working with Pixie Lane. They've been on the podcast before. So I really got hands-on experience working inside a direct sales company. Everything from rebranding the website to product management to working with the sales field and handling onboarding and supporting people that were really growing their business to new levels and comp plans and all of that. And I would probably once a month, I would take the train up to Los Angeles and spend some time with the team there in the office and just got some really great experience working with them. Not to mention they had really cute kids clothes and women's athletic leisure wear that I got to stock up on as well. So that was also a really fun season of understanding what it was like to be on the corporate side. And then I'd say for summer 2022, I have, a very clear memory of being part of a mastermind group that I'm in and sharing, I think I'm kind of good at the corporate side of things. And I think there's an opportunity for us to create a bigger impact in this industry if we step into corporate work. And you came on I was there in person. You joined us virtually. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
So we presented kind of what a plan would look like in pursuing corporate work. Do you remember everyone's response?
No, I don't remember.
Everyone was like, yeah, do it. Like, it was like a resounding, like nobody even had any feedback or suggestions or recommend. Everyone was just like, well, yeah. Go do that. So that was super fun and reassuring. And 2023, 2024,
launched out on that?
Yeah, launched into corporate work and did my first in-person keynote. I had done some virtual work and everything was kind of back on in that season.
Yeah.
So, company conferences were closed for so long. Everything was virtual that people were really craving getting back there in person and traveling.
Yeah, you were busy over the summer.
Oh, yeah.
Doing all the conferences and stuff.
Super busy. And during that busy season, you pursued a little bit of a corporate software project too.
Yeah.
So, we each have our things that we look back on and we're like, That was like a little bit of a rabbit hole or a little bit of a detour of where we were headed. Yeah. But tell them about the corporate software you were working on for a bit.
Well, yeah, after working some more with corporate offices and dealing with their back offices and stuff, we were like, man, we're going to fix this.
This is a problem.
Issue. Nobody seems to like their back office software, and
people weren't using Shopify, and we were like, oh, like we got to do something with Shopify.
Yeah. So we launched off, started going down the process of making our own back office software and everything, and then we had one client
using it. Yeah, at least one or two.
I know we had at least one. Yeah. So yeah, a couple clients using it, sort of as our like beta testers, but then just found like you have to get in early before they've made a choice on what provider to use. Because once they're already locked into a provider, it's really hard to switch, especially with any decently sized company. So invested a lot of time and money into that, and then
hired a developer that was working on that.
Hired a developer. So. Yeah, spent a lot of time and money on that, and then
we bought a domain name for, I don't even want to admit how much money we spent on that domain name. We won't bring it up. CFO doesn't want a reminder of that.
I don't remember. Was it 1,000 or 4,000? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it was at least 4,000. 4,000, and yeah. And we abandoned that. We still own the domain. Name. Yeah. Proudly own the domain name, but decided that wasn't the direction that we wanted to go. And so I'm saying all of this because I think that it's part of business, right?
It just wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't aligned with our core business.
Yeah. But in that same season, we also added a lot of different tiers to the Academy. So we added Academy Pro, Academy VIP, because we had people in our basic level of the Academy just wanting more from us. Like, how do I work with you one-on-one? How do I do coaching with you? So we started adding those additional tiers. We won a pretty cool award at DSA Canada.
Yeah.
That was amazing. Partnership in progress. Still very proud of that. And in that same season, our corporate work kind of blew up.
Yeah.
Blew up in the way that we are so grateful for. So grateful for, but realized quickly that we had more work than I had bandwidth for. Yeah. Ultimately, I was the bottleneck in the sense of I needed to be on the stage. I needed to be the one recording the training. And that was hard to bring other people in to support that work when corporate got really, really big. So we affectionately called it Operation Wow, where we looked at our team and we looked at who was doing what and reshuffled a lot of things around to really make it work for that season. I think we also realized that as much as we do love our corporate clients, that there's a little bit of a limit unless we're going to bring in coaches and have a bunch of other people and have more of a coaching agency kind of model. Like, people were hiring me because they wanted me on their stage, not someone else.
They want you. So that's a tough one to scale.
It was tough to scale.
You only have so much time.
Yeah. So that was, one of those things where you were like, gosh, I sat in a room a year and a half before saying, this is what I really want. Now I have it. And now I'm not sure this is exactly what I want anymore.
It swung a little too far one way.
It did. Yeah. Swung back. We swung back, right? And now it's kind of the perfect balance that I have a couple clients that I work really closely with and I work deeply with, and I get to know their businesses inside and out. But it also allows me to set that boundary where I'm not going to go just do that one-off little event for a little bit of money for a lot of different clients. I can really focus in and hone in on those clients that I'm choosing to work with in depth. And that's been fun to be able to do that. That's a privilege, right? So corporate is still definitely part of our business model. And I love all of my corporate clients that I've worked with and continue to work with. But, we're looking at the way we work with them in different ways than maybe we did in the early days when we were just trying to get in on the corporate side. And we also had a couple other things happen in 2024. 2024 is the first year that our business hit $500,000 in a year.
Yeah. That was a big milestone.
And do you remember when we hit that?
It was like almost at midnight on December 31st.
Might have been sitting with a glass of champagne at a friend's house celebrating New Year's and got the last order pop into my phone and kind of lost my mind. And was like, oh my gosh, that was such a big milestone. So we just barely got over the 500,000 mark at the end of last year, which was a huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
It really was. Okay, so let's talk 2025. because if you're listening in real time, you're like, okay, this is a great trip down memory road. But 2025 has been kind of a little bit of a different year for us in many ways. That we had a plan. We kind of had like a plan A. And if this didn't quite go as planned, then we would fall back on plan B. But we've really been taking things almost like quarter by quarter, I would say, this year versus having a grand plan for the whole year. Because at the start of this year, we set out with the intention to really focus in on Oh My High. We haven't even mentioned Oh My High to this point.
Yeah, I mean, that actually
started
like
a couple years before.
Yeah.
Oh My High's always been in the background.
Yeah, it was just never...
It was never called Oh My High.
No, it was.
From the beginning?
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it was. Okay, just kidding.
Yeah.
It was always Oh My High.
Yeah, but it was a project that we made for a specific client at first. And then we were like, wow, like we could really adapt this and use this for other clients too. But then we had all the modern direct seller work and the corporate work and all the other stuff going on. So it was
we're a little busy.
Yeah. So it was just kind of like, well, it didn't get a lot of love and attention.
It didn't get a lot of love.
2025.
Yeah. And I think because 2024 was such a wild year between travel and the corporate work, it was kind of like, okay, if we're going to swing back away from doing a ton of the corporate work, then like, how are we going to maintain this revenue level?
Yeah.
And we looked at everything that we had available, and we looked at Oh My High and realized, hey, this is actually probably the most scalable thing that we have to offer. And Jeremy also has a lot of passion around Oh My High. It's his baby. And we were like, okay, this is the year that we're going to maybe pull back from some of the other things that we would have chased after or pursued to keep the focus on it. And I will say that all year I've had a sticky note on my desk that says, Oh My High, to just remind me like, okay, let's stay focused on what our goal is for the year.
Yeah, and I think the main thing with the focus on Oh My High is that it doesn't involve you totally, right? Like with modern direct seller and the corporate work, like you're the face. If you are removed from either of those, then those businesses really don't exist probably, right? So with Oh My High, it's more, of the team. Like obviously you're in there and you're promoting it, marketing it, selling it, all that stuff, but doesn't necessarily require you to deliver it.
Very true. It doesn't require me to deliver that. And it also has forced me to run this business very different than I've run other businesses.
Yeah.
And that's different too. I think Amber asked during the planathon, now that you have a SaaS business that you're building, how are you doing things differently? And, you always think back at how you answer questions. And I thought about it after the fact. And I was thinking, well, one, I think that we've been faster to hire, that we've realized like, okay, we need some help in a couple of different areas. Let's bring people in that have expertise in it. We need Lisa Duck because she can sit down and work with our students one-on-one. We need Sammy to come in and talk strategy. We need Joanna to help with the business operations. Okay, Sierra can start doing the done-for-you design. So I've been less involved in the day-to-day and executing and more involved with the strategy of finding the right partners and delivering some of the content and thinking about the sales and marketing and then rethinking the sales and marketing and then rethinking it again and then rethinking it again. And that's kind of been the theme of this year is, okay, like this really worked well. That kind of flopped. Let's see where we can pivot. Let's see if we can change that. Let's see if we try this. So I think it's definitely been a year of not knowing all the answers or not knowing exactly how this business was going to be run or convert into sales. But we've made tremendous progress this year.
Yeah.
I got to say, I'm really happy with where we're looking towards the end of the year. I think we have about $100,000 of annual recurring revenue from Oh My High, which is pretty incredible. We definitely did not start the year with that. And that's probably a little bit of an underestimate because it doesn't include our VIPs.
You take all my VIP revenue.
Because I put that on the academy side. So it's actually probably a little bit bigger than that. But it's been a really fun journey this year to run a different type of company, a little bit of different challenges that we're facing, and also something that's really scalable and a great solution even beyond the direct sales world, which has also been part of the intentional shift, to be honest, is that, we love direct sales. We're not going anywhere. We're still working with corporate clients. We still actually academy revenues at an all-time high.
Yeah.
Modern direct seller is still very much a part of what we do and what we're planning on doing, but we're layering in something else that can reach beyond just the direct sales industry, which is pretty cool, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So $1 million question, Jeremy Launder, now that we've made it all the way through this episode, which is a little bit longer than most of our episodes, and we've kind of talked about the twists and turns and pivots and changes that we've had in our business. What are some of the big things that you've learned along the way? These are like my nightly questions I ask my family at dinner. I'm like, tell me something interesting that happened at lunch today. And everyone just stares at me and doesn't want to answer my questions. They're like on a podcast interview every day and they don't realize it.
Right. Well, I think a big one is really thinking through like where you want to be, not like tomorrow, but 3 years down the road, 5 years down the road. Like, you don't have to have a plan of like how you're going to get there, but like, what do you want your business to look like? Mm-hmm. And then making sure like the decisions that you're making today are aligned with what you want it to look like. Because I think if we would have done a better job of that earlier on, and I mean, early on, you kind of, I don't know, you probably don't even really know, right? Like you pivot a lot, you change a lot, you're trying different things. But if we really would have sat down and thought about it, maybe we wouldn't have invested in the back office software, or maybe we wouldn't have done a subscription box, or, those kinds of things. Like,
sometimes you don't know till you know, though.
I know. Sometimes you don't know till you try, but like if we would have been like, all right, in 5 years from now, do we want to be, is this the type of business that we want to have 5 years from now? Because eventually like we went a little ways down the road and we were like, nope, we don't want it to be that. So if we could have maybe thought about that a little more.
Yeah. Or envision what it would look like. And I think that's the hard part is sometimes, you get into something and you feel like you're in so deep. I think this happens to a lot of direct sellers, right? That you're like, okay, I've been going through the motions and I've been doing this and I've been building and I've gotten this far. And now, like, is this where I want to be? Or is this, do I need to pivot or do I need to do something else? And it's hard. It's hard to make those shifts. I think that's one thing that, looking from the outside in, a lot of people will say that we do pretty well, is that we decide on something and then we go and we do it. Yeah. We don't hem and haw too long. Maybe we take messier, faster action than we even should sometimes, because we're like, let's go. Let's try it. Maybe we don't always pivot back fast enough. We go kind of all in on something and then we're like, oh, wait a minute. Change of course here. But I think that's all part of the process. And I think that's what you have to do is take that messy action, and you do need a plan, or at least a short-term plan. I mean, that's one thing that's been consistent in our business since I'd say 2015 is that, like, remember for the longest time I had my whiteboard up that had a 3-month plan. Yeah. And I knew exactly what I was doing this month, next month, and the month after. And I had my big business building activities and milestones for those 3 months right in front of me. I also had my revenue goals right in front of me. And when we built the office, the whiteboard didn't quite make its way up there. We look at that every single week on our dashboards and looking at it in ClickUp now and our monthly P&L that we're getting to make sure that we're staying on track and moving forward. And I think this year's been a little bit more challenging in that sense that
it's newer.
It's newer.
Yeah, the academy is very predictable at this point. Like we've been doing it for a while. Yeah, we have a general idea of how that's going to go, but with Oh My High, like selling that's all new, right?
Yeah.
So trying to estimate how much a specific partner launch is going to do, or how much our own launch is going to do, or
we just did a launch last month, and we were like, well, that didn't quite land the way that we thought it was going to. But okay, what did we learn from that, and how are we pivoting that and taking that into this next season? Yeah. And I started out saying this at the beginning of the podcast, but I think also this year has been a year of like, okay, we're going to put all of our energy into Oh My High. And if revenue doesn't hit this number, then we need to kind of fall back on what we know does work on Modern Direct Seller, like our spring challenge or our fall challenge. And fortunately this year, we didn't do either of those kind of public free events as a lead generator because our energy was shifted to Oh My High. We still definitely are doing our 2026 planning sessions, and I'm so excited for that. But it's been a year of kind of like, okay, let's see how this goes. And if it doesn't quite get where we needed to, we kind of had a plan B to fall back on.
Yeah.
I think the other big takeaway, and then I'll wrap us up here. Kids are probably like, I thought you were feeding us dinner. Is I've worked with a business coach, Amber McHugh, for years now. You've been part of various mastermind communities, Pat Flynn's community, a few others. But I think when you're with a like-minded group of entrepreneurs that can support you and encourage you, just like I said at that Chicago mastermind where they were like, yeah, go do corporate, right?
Yeah.
Having some people there to validate your ideas and encourage you and kind of give you the push or nudge that you need forward really makes all the difference in the world. And I look at some of these big milestones and they wouldn't have happened without working within a community of people that understood my business and believed in me.
For sure. I had, similar to your experience with the corporate, like I had that because we had our in-person meetup in Columbus.
Yeah.
Where I was talking about, and this was before, like we had Oh My High, but we were talking about, at this point, we call it going from like version 2 to version 3, where we were adding like the email marketing into it. And then there was like some big behind the scenes infrastructure changes and all this stuff. And it was like, laying out my plan for that and the timeline and all that stuff, and like, walking through that with them and, them kind of poking holes at it and, getting their feedback and everything. And then, I was like accountable to it and basically, worked to that plan that I had to come up with there and got it launched. And
When was that? Was that late 2024?
That was so that meetup I think was in like March of 2024 because we were planning to relaunch it with the new version. Fall. It was in like November time frame.
Yeah. So about a year ago.
Yeah.
Look at it now. Yeah. Oh my gosh. So much. That's so amazing. I love that. Well, if you're listening right now, just take our story not as like a place that we're coming to brag about what we've accomplished, but more inspiration around what's possible when you take that messy action, you put yourself out there, you do things maybe you've never done before, but you try it and some things flop, some things fail, some things go better than you ever anticipated. So
it's a journey.
It is definitely a journey. It is definitely a journey. We're also 1 week away from our Black Friday offer. And I have to say that as we're wrapping up, that on November 17th, we are dropping something we also have never done before inside the modern direct seller business. It is something you're going to want to know about and you're going to want to tell your friends about. And CFO over here thinks maybe I've lost my mind a little bit, but we're doing it anyway, and we're going to see how it goes.
We're going to give it a try.
We're going to give it a try. So keep an eye on your inbox or message me, and I'll spell the details. But November 17th is when it all happens. Inside Modern Direct Seller. I can't wait for it.
Let's do it.
All right, Jeremy. Thanks for being here. Let's go feed the kids dinner.
Thanks for having me. Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you soon. This episode is sponsored by CintShare. CintShare is the #1 social media scheduler for direct sellers and loved by creators in any industry. It's truly your one-stop shop for all things social. Join hundreds of thousands of social sellers and entrepreneurs who turn to CintShare for free social media training and resources. Get started today with your free 30-day trial at moderndirectseller.com/CintShare.